Hello, church. Happy New Year. I pray that you had an incredible weekend and that you've enjoyed all the football and all the things and that you're ready to start a new year. I want to just thank Eric Ruoff, who preached for us yesterday at church. You may not know this about Eric, but Eric is a Asbury graduate, a seminary trained pastor and theologian who has been a youth pastor and a worship pastor. And so we are so blessed to have him on our staff. He is again, much like several people on our team, just a Swiss Army knife that can do a little bit of everything. But if you get a chance, check out his sermon from yesterday. It was awesome. And I just share with you that I'll do a sermon next Sunday on anxiety. And then after that, we're going to begin a new series as we launch the vision for 2023. So let's talk about today. So the thought I had in mind is that to resolute or to not resolute. Do you have resolutions? You don't have resolutions. People are funny about resolutions. I hear people make them all the time. The frustrating thing for me is that the gym will be crowded for the next 6 weeks. Like it'll be packed. You can't get on machines. Somebody's on my bike. I mean, all those kind of things. And then something magically happens around Valentine's Day. It's ironic that we see the same thing in the church, that when kids go back to school, church attendance rises. And then they get to that Labor Day weekend, and then for some reason, they just begin to drift again. But we see the same thing. People start new diets. People start exercise plans. People have lofty goals. They're going to read the Bible from start to finish. They get through Genesis and they start to get into Deuteronomy and Leviticus and all that kind of stuff. And then it slows down. What do we do with that? Why is it that we feel the need that when the calendar turns a page, that somehow this is a fresh start for us? And it can be. I don't want to deny that. But here's what I'd like to suggest instead. In the book of Isaiah, the prophet says in chapter 43, in verse 18, he says, "Forget the former things. Don't dwell on the past. Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing, and now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." I think this passage reminds us that God is always doing a new thing. God doesn't need the calendar page to turn in order for him to begin to do a new thing. It's part of the reason he tells us that we should not put new wine in old wineskins. Same philosophy. But I think the intriguing thing that he says here is, do not dwell in the past. Forget the former things. I find people are trapped in two ways of approaching a new year. They're either so consumed with the previous year and how things went and whether they went poorly or things they wish they had changed or if there was calamity in their life. They're just kind of consumed with that and it propels them into the new year. Or they become what I call dreamers. They spend all their time dreaming about the new year in the hopes of what it could be, but they put all the pressure on both situations on themselves to solve whatever situation it is or whatever dream they have. Instead of what God is saying, listen, I'm doing a new thing. Don't think about yesterday. Focus on today and the new thing that I'm doing, that I'm making fresh ways, new ways, living water that could go over your life. Jesus tells us something interesting in Luke 9:62. He says, anyone who puts their hand on the plow and looks back is not fit for the kingdom of God. This is great advice, church. You can't change anything that happened yesterday. You can't change anything that happened last year. You can only ask God to do a work in you to change you today and then allow it to propel you into tomorrow. So as you begin a new year, if you're a resolution person, I pray that goes really, really well for you. If you're not a resolution person and you're just looking at a new year and you're not quite sure what to make of it, I do pray that either case, that you are seeking the face of God as 2023 begins, that you're thinking intentionally about your spiritual life. You know, we track all things at church. We track attendance. We track numbers. We track numbers of you who spend some time with us during the week watching the Take 5. And what I notice is that it starts really good. But by the time we get to December, the numbers are down a little bit. People allow the things of the world to infiltrate their life. I'm just saying, as we begin a new year, this would be a great time to put some boundaries against the things of the world so that you could focus on who Jesus needs you to be in the coming year. So, church, we'll return to Philippians next week and pick up our study of that with chapter 3. Just know that I love you. I pray you have a happy new year. And whatever tradition is in your world on New Year's Day and this beginning of the new year, that it would have been a joy for you. Love you, and I'll see you next Monday.